Well, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to have a little smoking adventure, and not cigars. We're going to smoke some salmon and some baby back ribs. So I'm out here, and there's the smoker. And I'm going to take the cover off of it. There we go. And get my extension cord, plug it in, and let it start to preheat. So, got the extension cord in place. We will get the probe and plug it in. Plug this into the extension cord. And turn this on. And let it heat up. It is on, so we'll shut the door and let it start to heat up. We'll go in the house and get the meat ready. Today, we're going to smoke 2 fillets of salmon and this big 2-rack package of baby back ribs. So I won't make you suffer through me opening these things, trimming them a little, getting them ready for the smoker, and we'll be back. And by that time, the smoker should be heated up. Okay, I've trimmed all the ribs. I've got 4 half racks here, and underneath the ribs is the salmon. And this stuff, just need to salt the ribs. After trimming the ribs, I got a whole tub of leftover pork, which I can cut up into strips and do my deep fried pork rind crumb coated thing on, frying it in bacon grease. So there's at least another meal right there. So we're going to use applewood chips to smoke the salmon and the pork, and we're going to smoke it right here. We're going to fill the bin. We're not going to soak them, learned that already, but we are going to fill the bin with some dry applewood chips. And get ourselves a water tray full of water. The smoker is hot, a little too hot. I turned it down, but it'll certainly cool off when I open the door. So there we go. We're going to fill this with the applewood chips. There we go. And we're going to go outside. Once again, we're using the Mark Davis smoker. Thank you so much, Mark, for providing this for my use. Always appreciated. So the smoker's up to temperature, and right now I need to put the drip tray underneath. I think that's the way it goes. Yes, and we need to get the rack for the water and the wood chips and the water. Careful not to burn ourselves with this, but the water goes right here and the wood chips go right here, and we'll push that back in. And now we'll get our food. See if we can fit all this in there. Now I'm going to have to smoke the ribs for 5 to 6 hours at 250. I'm going to have to smoke the salmon maybe for an hour and check it with this thermometer every once in a while. So let's start on the bottom rack here, and we'll put 2 2 racks, keeping in mind that these racks are hot. We'll put 2 half racks of ribs on the bottom. There we go. And we'll put 2 half racks of ribs on the top. Perfect. We will take the salmon and lay it. Hopefully I can get both of these on the top rack. Yes, it fits. And we'll put the second rack of these, and if they drip on the ribs a little bit, it's not a big deal. We will close. Perfect. Close the door. It is now about 11 o'clock, so around noon we'll come out and check the fish and the temperature and everything else, and we're smoking. We're smoking. Okay, time's up for the salmon. Let's take our thermometer and check out the temperature. We want at least, oh, smoky, at least over 145 degrees. And we have 160 degrees. So it is done. The salmon is done. So we will take it out. Put it on this tray. I don't think this is all going to come out in one piece, but it may. Yes, it did. And now we want to get the other one from the back. Uh-oh. There we go. Let's drag this out. Perfect. Perfect. And shut the door real quick to keep it hot in there. And let the ribs cook. The ribs have got probably another 4 hours at least. And I don't think there's any chance of overcooking them. So I've got some salmon for my first meal of the day. And if I time it right, I should have ribs for my second meal of the day. What an adventure. Okay, let's check this out and see how it is. Get a piece of salmon here. I think I will try this piece because obviously it is done. We will try this piece right here, and that will be my first meal of the day. We'll leave the rest of it out here to cool. And now, let's taste this. All right. I have a piece of smoked salmon. It smells wonderful. And I'm going to take a little bite of this and taste it. It is delicious. Now, I didn't salt this before I put it in, so I will put a little sprinkle of Redmond's real salt on it. And there it is. And it is wonderful. Came out great. This stuff left over is going to be fabulous. Ice cold out of the refrigerator. Nothing is better to me than cold smoked salmon like this. This is wild caught sockeye salmon from Sam's Club. I bought it marked down. It is wonderful. So, first half of this little adventure, a rousing success. We'll be back to check out the ribs later. Well, it's been 5 hours since I put the salmon and the ribs in there. I took the salmon out after an hour, and now I'm out here, and this smell has attracted a bunch of flies, that's for sure, and it smells fabulous. I need to see if the ribs are done, so we're going to go ahead and take one rack out. Going to bring them over here. Hopefully the flies will leave me alone. We'll take the temperature of it, and wow, I mean, there's got to be 10 flies buzzing around here. We're going to cut it open and test it and see if it's done, and whether we need to leave it in for another hour, because I expected 5 or 6 hours. Let's get the cutting board right here and open it up. Hopefully this smoke will drive the flies away. And let's grab a rack. Oh, they certainly look done. Let's close it up. Keep the heat in. And we'll bring it over here. Okay, let's see what my temperature is in these ribs. Get down between the meat. 180 degrees. It might, 185, it might need a little more time, but seeing as I got it out, I am going to cut one off here. Let's flip it over. Wow, they sure look good. Now, I do leave the membrane on because of the amount of nutrients and collagen in it. And let's take a look at this. It sure looks good. And let's see. Oh, yummy. They are delicious. I got to tell you, smoked at 250 degrees for 5 hours with a little bit, not too much, of the smoked salt on them, apple wood. They are perfect, juicy, fall off the bone. Look at that. Wonderful. No sous videing, no pre-cooking them, no nothing. Just throw them in the smoker for 5 hours. This is it, my friends. Oh, yes. So this one rack, getaway fly, this one rack here is going to be my dinner. I'm going to take the rest of them out of the smoker right over here, and I will call this a rousing success. Both the salmon and the ribs came out great. So let's get this stuff in the house. So there you have it. 2 full racks, basically 4 meals. I think these are some of the prettiest ribs I have ever made. Look at these. Look at these ribs. They are fabulous. 5 hours, 250 degrees in the smoker. Be hard to top this. Be hard to top this. There you have it. There you have it. Quite an adventure on this Friday, and I hope you enjoyed all this. I enjoyed doing it. Going to do it more often. Well, I'm back, everybody. What I want to do today is finish this up and show you exactly how. I take 8 meals, which I don't intend to eat right away because I don't eat ribs and salmon maybe just once a week, and I just made 8 meals. I ate one of each right after I made them. One of each will probably sit in the refrigerator easily 5 or 6 days, in which I'll eat it. But the other 4 meals, the other 2 ribs and 2 meals of salmon, are going to have to last 3 weeks, a month. And for that, I'm going to vacuum seal them and freeze them. I'm also going to throw all the pork trimmings that I trimmed off the ribs. I'm going to vacuum seal that and throw it in the freezer as well because I'm not likely to use that right away. So let's see what I'm dealing with here. Okay, let's see what we got here. What I've got here. I've got salmon. Got salmon right here. And down here I have my ribs. And then in here I've got quite a bit of pork that I trimmed off. There's got to be 1.5 pounds at least in here, maybe 2, that I trimmed off. So I've got all of this food here. I'm going to leave 1 rib and 1 salmon in the container, and I'm going to go ahead and vacuum seal the rest. Now, we'll come over here. We're going to use today my Wevac CM12, which is a tremendous vacuum sealer. If you go to my website at oldguycarnivore.com, on the Stuff I Use page, there's a link to this, which takes you right to Wevac and automatically gets you a 15% discount. Now, this is a just about commercial grade vacuum sealer. It's tremendous. And being a chamber style vacuum sealer, it lets me seal things that are liquid, like soups and things like that, and vacuum and freeze them. They make a 10-inch version of this as well, which is a little less money, but this is what I'm going to be using. I also buy my vacuum sealing bags from Wevac because they sell commercially. They sell to restaurants and people that use these bags commercially. So instead of just getting one of these little rolls like this and paying $15 for it, you pay $20 and you get these gigantic boxes of pre-made vacuum seal bags with 1/2 already sealed. And today, I'm going to use this size bag, which should be big enough to hold about everything. 20-something bucks for hundreds and hundreds of these bags. And I know that I'm going to need 4 of these. So let's get 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I know some of those racks of ribs are pretty wide. If they're too wide, what I'm going to do, and then we need 1 more for the pork, and maybe I'll split it into 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all this food over to here and put it down, and I'm going to get myself a cutting board in case I have to cut one of those ribs in half to fit in the width of this bag. And we're going to take the cutting board and put it down here. And I'm going to start putting this stuff in the bag. So let's start with the salmon. And I want to take 2 pieces of this salmon out here. and put it in the bag. Now, when I do eat this stuff, I'm going to eat it cold. That's for sure. I love cold smoked salmon. And we're going to take another piece of this, put it in this bag. So there's our salmon, and I'm going to put this back in the refrigerator and eat it in the next 4 or 5 days. Now, got the 2 pieces of salmon. Let's take and see whether we need to cut the ribs or not. Well, I've got the smaller one here, which will fit in there nicely. So we'll take that and put that in there. This one is the widest one. I think maybe I can fit this. Look at these racks of ribs. Look how beautiful they are. So let's see if we can. I think it'll fit. I think it'll fit. Hold your breath. Yes, look at that. This is the perfect size bag. So I've now got that, and we're going to save this other rack of ribs, as beautiful as it is. God, incredible. And now I'm going to take this pork, and look at this. This is the meat that I actually was able to trim off of the ribs before I cooked it. I would guess this is a couple of pounds. So what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do, just to be a little more accurate about this, is get my little scale out. Get my little scale out here. Plug it in. And we'll just use the lid, and even that weighs 2 ounces. So let's just hit tare and set it to 0, and we're going to put a pound of this pork on here. 13 ounces. That's 15 ounces. I think that'd be great. I think 15 ounces would be great. So we'll take this bag here, and we'll put the 15 ounces of this pork that I trimmed off, and I'll probably fry them up like pork tenders, like I did when I made my chicken wing video, and they make a great meal. And we'll get one more bag here and put the rest of them in it. Let's see how much they all weigh. About 12 ounces. But that's enough. That's enough for a first meal of the day, or maybe just to have with eggs. So that's great. And I'm going to write on the bags. I'm going to write on the bags how much it weighed. And that's the nice thing about these freezer bags, is you just take a Sharpie and you write on them. This was rib pork. Today is 9/7, and this is 15 ounces, let's say. And this bag here, and it does have a rough side here, an embossed side, and that's where you write. This is rib pork. Today is 9/7. This was 12 ounces. Okay, so I've got that. I am done with my scale. We'll open up the vacuum sealer. We take the bag, we lay it in there, and there's a lip. We put the edge of the bag under the lip and just make sure it's laying flat over the top of the sealing bar. You turn it on and set it to a medium-sized bag. Then we just close the lid. Now, I won't make you sit through this whole cycle. It takes about a minute. Unlike those vacuum sealers that suck all the air out of the bag, which is pretty quick, this completely evacuates the entire chamber around the bag. And that means that the vacuum is both outside the bag and inside the bag. So when you look at the bag through the glass lid, it's not getting smaller, but it is getting a vacuum in it. When it gets to the point where there's enough of a vacuum in there, the pump shuts off, and right now it's in the sealing mode where the thing is actually sealing up the bag. Now, they let the air back into the chamber around the bag, but there is a sealed vacuum in the bag. So what you end up with is a vacuum sealed, no matter how much juice, no matter how much liquid is in here, you don't see any of it being pulled out of the bag. You could do that with a bag of water. So that's how that works. Let's take one of the ribs and do the same thing. Put it under the clip. Make sure it's stretched flat out over the sealing bar. Close the lid. And here we have the ribs. Look at that. Look how well that's vacuum sealed. So we have a pork, we have ribs, and let's do the salmon, one of the salmon last. Again, lay that in there, put the open end of the bag under the clips, make sure it's stretched out over the sealing bar, shut the lid, let it do its thing. And there we have a piece of smoked salmon, fully cooked, vacuum sealed, ready for the freezer. And that, my friends, is basically from start with raw food to having eaten a couple of meals to having what amounts to about 6 meals left over in the freezer, 2 in the refrigerator, all from one little session of smoking outside for a few hours in my smoker. So I'd call that entire exercise a great success, something I'm going to do again and again. And I hope you do too. There's a link to that smoker on my website in the Stuff I Use page if you're interested, but any smoker will work. This one's relatively inexpensive, electric, and it works great. It's the Cuisinart. Upon saying that, take the rest of the day off. I'm tempted to say smoke it if you got it, but eat meat.